What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the PV National Podcast. I think we're going on episode 6, I believe, for this quarter. So super excited to be here. I've got an awesome guest here, Zach Carter, the owner and founder of Founders Roofing and Construction, based here out of Dallas-Fort Worth, and have scaled to a national operation. So super excited to pick your brain, Zach. Thank you so much for being here. And excited to see what kind of golden, every time I do one of these, the main thing I'm trying to do is give somebody who might be listening some sort of golden nugget that whether they're in just business in general or in the roofing industry that they can take and go apply.
Yep.
So I think that's kind of how you operate in general. Like, you're not a big like fluff guy. It's like, let's just talk about what's happening and maybe we can make some moves, right? So I always start off every episode, man. Where are you? Like, where are you from? Tell us a little bit about like background about you and how kind of you grew up, where you grew up. And then I want to talk a little bit about military and then like the transition into how you got into roofing. So doesn't need to take a whole bunch of time, just a little something about where you grew up and your time in the military.
Yep. So from a high level, I was born in Florida, actually, Orlando, Florida. Lived there till I was about 12. Parents divorced. Then I moved to Texas, been in Texas ever since. All of my family is from Texas, born and raised, but there was
You're an honorary Texan at this point.
Honorary Texan,
yeah,
right?
There you go.
So parents divorced, and my dad came down with cancer. My dad passed away when I was 15, and then my mom was, at that point, she's a single mom. She adopted, she had me, and then she adopted 5 other kids. Well, I guess technically 4 other kids, but 6 kids in total. Yeah,
wow.
And then it was pretty tight for a while.
Sure.
She worked at a well-known Mexican restaurant and was a bartender and did everything she could to take care of us. And I mean, ultimately, that's where I learned my work ethic from, was watching my mom just grind it out.
That's wild, dude. Okay.
Yeah.
Had no idea.
Yeah. And then from there, went to the military. Mainly because I saw how hard my mom was working. I wasn't smart enough to figure out scholarships or grants for nothing for college. So I already knew since I was like a freshman in high school that I was like, military is just
the route you're going to go.
Yeah. I saw my older cousin do it, and I was like, well, he's doing it. And he went to the Marines, and honestly, I didn't even know what the Marines were until because I never really studied military stuff, but he went to the Marines, and apparently that was like the hardest branch.
Yeah.
So I didn't want him to like outdo me, so
of course not.
So I went to the Marines as well. And then, I had a really solid 4 years there, great career. But just like anything else, once you get to a good point in life, I always figure out a way to switch and do something else.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what was your MOS in the military?
I was comms. So little backstory. My recruiter, he was a 0311 rifleman.
Yep.
And
my buddy was 0311. Yeah.
Pretty war hardened guy, solid combat vet. But he told me, if you want to go anywhere in the Marine Corps, have all the options in the world, and get out and have like a transferable skill, do comm.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did that. Went the comm route and wound up being a wireman. So what we were in charge of was, we'd go and set up base and run wires and make sure, all the antennas and stuff were up and everybody had comms, and we were just like the advancement team on any operation.
Yeah,
but
that's awesome.
Yeah. And then, so I got to do some cool stuff with that. I got to be with a couple really good units and got to do a couple really good operations and, do the cool stuff, the fast roping out of the helicopters and, kicking doors in and flash banging and all that stuff, Yeah. So good time there. Into my career, I was meritoriously promoted. So I was meritoriously promoted to E4, which then allowed me to hit sergeant before my 4-year mark, which can be difficult to do depending on the job you're in.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, and you've got a wife and kids, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
So did you meet her and start having family after all that, I'm guessing, or did you guys meet in the military?
No. So me and my wife, we actually met in high school. We're high school sweethearts.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. She actually lived with me when I was a senior in high school. So
kidding.
Yeah, I had bills as a senior. I had a truck payment and phone bill, insurance, you name it. Like I was already working.
Grown man. Yeah.
So
already working.
So, went to the military, and then she followed me throughout the military. She was going to go to A&M. She wanted to be an ag teacher.
Gotcha.
And then she just decided to follow me to the military and just been following me ever since.
There you go.
She's never had to work. So
that's amazing. Okay. Yeah. So you guys, high school sweethearts, went through the Marine Corps, got out, did a 4-year contract, right?
Yep.
Got out of the military, and then kind of tell us a little bit about your work before you got into the insurance restoration roofing space.
Yeah, so it's kind of unique how I wound up in the roofing
I always
space.
like to ask that whoever,
Yeah.
like the stories of how people get in this
How
business. It's
you
never
wind
like,
up
oh, I
there.
very rarely do you hear like, oh, I grew up and my dad or my mom was a
Yeah.
roofer and now I just want to be a second generation roofer. You don't ever hear that,
Yeah.
right? You know, so
Yeah.
it's always I'm always interested to hear how people got into this industry.
Yeah, so for me, it was I got out. It's the day I got out. I drove 21 hours home. Didn't even unload my truck yet. I got out, took me a quick nap, then I went to the oil field. Like first day out of the military, straight in the oil field. Uh, did that gig for a year. You know, it was decent money, especially
Yeah.
getting out of the military, comparing it to military pay.
For sure.
Good money, but the lifestyle was horrendous, and I was gone. 3 to 5 days a week consistently, sleeping in a camper. Working out in Pecos and then driving 5 hours home on Fridays and getting up at 2:45 on a Monday and doing it again.
Yeah.
And it
tough.
just felt never ending. But the money was good.
Yeah.
Right. After a while, we were coming up to Dallas all the time, like going to Six Flags and going to the zoo and doing all the stuff in Dallas that you don't get to do out in West Texas. And sorry, I keep making noise over
No, you're good.
Yeah, we come up to Dallas all the time, and then my wife one day was like, "We keep going up to Dallas. Why don't we just move up to Dallas?" I'm like, "Well, what am I going to do? Like, there's no oil field in Dallas or anything."
Yeah.
And the only skill I really had was being a veteran and having comms under my belt. But even having comms under my belt in the military, I didn't really do comms. Like, especially my last unit, comms wasn't something I did on the day to day, and my job was kind of like disbanded anyway. So I was like really behind in terms of communication goes. And honestly, I didn't want to make that a career.
Anyway, right.
I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, this is not my personality. And yeah, so I have an uncle who he's been working at ABC Supply for like at this point like 30 years.
OG.
Yeah, and he literally like knew the owners. Opened up like I think the third store was in Midland was the one he opened up.
No kidding.
Yeah, and yeah, so real good relationship there. And he's like, and I saw what it did for him in his life and kind of the way they lived. And I was like, man, like, what would I give just at that point? I was like, what would I give just to have a career where I can just show up at the same place every day? I'm not going to different job sites in the oil field, wondering where I'm going to be working the next week.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to show up somewhere every day, have consistency in my life, have a good salary, good benefits. And so, yeah, he told me, yeah, just put in an application. And so I put in an online application, and the manager that reached out to me was actually someone he had hired like 20 years ago. So I thought that was pretty unique.
That's awesome.
So started at ABC Supply as a warehouse guy. I think I was making $15.50 an hour or something, like
raking it in.
Yeah, horrible compared to what I was used to.
And that's my oil field. You just make good money out
Yeah,
there.
so I left that making $15.50 an hour. So the only time I was even really to be able to pay my bills was just overtime. So it was constant overtime in the warehouse.
Yeah.
And that's where your money's made at ABC in the warehouse, is just overtime in it.
Yep.
And did that for a while, and they told me like, hey, there's a chance to like move inside, and they pulled me aside and was like, just keep learning it out here, understand the product and understand what the drivers do and what the warehouse crew does. And then if you know those things, they were like building me up.
Yeah.
And there a spot opened up to be a dispatch there, and I guess that was a position that was high attrition because it was just you're managing like 20 something truck drivers.
Just a ton on your plate. Yeah.
Tons on your plate, clients calling you, where's my order at, so I was like, yeah, give it to me, I'll do it, So I jumped in there. I just saw it as my end to like get in the inside. Jumped into that, learned that whole game. We lost a purchasing manager there. He took another opportunity. Another gig nobody wanted to jump on because it was managing all the inventory and going out and doing site counts and all this other stuff. And I told the manager there too, I said, yeah, I'll take that. I'll learn that. And so dove on that. Did pretty well at that. Did all that through COVID, and then interviewed for the outside sales role. And then I took the outside sales role. So I worked from ABC from basically warehouse up to outside sales. And I was training to try and become like a branch manager, and I wanted to make that my career. But during COVID, there was just a time where, I was having to do side jobs, and I felt like my full-time career wasn't affording me to pay my bills at this point. So, yeah, which no fault to them. I mean, they're a business, right? They got to look out for their overhead during COVID, and like totally makes sense from a business perspective. But when you're living in it every day. And it just got real difficult. So I was just tired of chasing side jobs and tired of what ifing myself to death. And then, I was selling to a bunch of guys that were younger than me, and
You saw the other side of it, right?
saw the other side. And I went to Babe's Chicken one time, and this guy pulled up in like a
Gas.
he pulled up in like an I-8, and I was like, I've never seen an I-8 before, and it looked like a fancy car. Little did I know you can get them for like $50,000 now. But
Yeah, those I8s. They were like that particular car was like featured. Wasn't it featured like in a James Bond movie, like initially?
I don't know about that one.
I think it was, or it was something along those lines. It was like featured in that, and everyone was
Something
like going
inflated
crazy.
it.
Yeah, everyone went crazy on them, and then all of a sudden they just
tanked.
I8s. Yeah, they're just Anyway, go ahead.
But when they were it's good. When they were at their peak,
yeah, they were sick.
I saw this guy at Babe's, and I said, "Hey man, what do you do for a living?" I'm getting out of my Ford Escape, and my wife's Ford Escape, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm in the roofing business," and I said, "Awesome, man, me too." Like, I work at ABC Supply, like all proud of myself. And he was like, "You're on the wrong side, pal." And he just kept walking, like just said, "You're on the wrong side." And I was like, "Dang," and that like hit me.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Hit me in my heart. So I was like, I kept that. And one day I thought about buying an I-8 and just putting like the license plate just wrong side, just as a memory for that. But
that's funny. So that's how. So then from there, from ABC, how did the transition go? Because this is COVID 2020, 2021 kind of time frame here. Mm-hmm. When did you open the doors to Founders? When did that happen?
So it kicked off. I wanted to lock down a name. I kind of thought this is something I wanted to do, but I was unsure. I just slid into like the outside sales role at ABC. I had an opportunity for my career at that point to take off, and we were coming out of COVID, but I had this itch where like, man, like what if I do it and it works,
Yep.
And everybody's kind of telling you the what ifs. Oh, you're not going to have health insurance. You're not going to have that. What if? And I'm like, I'm having lunches with some of these guys that, sometimes like can barely form a sentence and they're killing it. So, I think I'll be fine. Like as long as I
barely form a sentence.
I think I'll be fine as long as I have some work ethic.
Yeah, that's right, dude. That was hilarious.
So I just went for it, and the district manager, they like gifted me a cooler, an ABC cooler, said Founders Day celebration. And I'm trying to come up with a business name, and I didn't want anything that was like, I didn't want to name it Carter's Roofing Company. I've always wanted something like nationwide, premium, scalable. Amazon's not named freaking Bezos,
right?
Bezos warehouse or whatever, Bezos bookstore. But so I wanted something scalable. So I was sitting on my back porch one day. I saw that cooler sitting there, and it said Founders. And I looked at my wife. I'm like, go to the laptop, type in on that little Texas LLC site and see if Founders is available. And it was like $120. I secured it. Yep. Just secured the name. That's it. And then it was locked in for like, I don't know, 6 months or something. And then I think February of 22 or something like that is when I had the itch one morning. I was like, you know what? Like today's the day. My wife was like, when are you going to do this? Like, when are you going to do this? I think you should. And she's like pushing me towards it.
Yeah.
And I was the one that was like more so worried about the safety net side.
For sure. Well, you're the one who's like, that's you're the one who's providing, and it's hard to, hard to make that decision, as much as someone believes in you, the realities of the world, right? 100%. So it's like, all right, we got to figure out, I understand the reservations, right?
Tons of them. And, she pushed me to do it. And so I think it was like a random Wednesday or something. And my manager he was either on an ABC trip or he was on a vacation or something for like 2 weeks. I was like, well, I was fired up that morning to go do it, but then I didn't want to do it while he was gone. I wanted to give the respects and walk in and tell him, hey, I appreciate everything. This is what I want to do. And they're like, is this like a money thing? Or, and I'm like, no, it's just like at this point, it's like a regret thing. Like, I'm afraid if I don't do it, I'm just going to regret not doing it.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I can't guarantee you that if it doesn't work out, you have a spot in outside sales when you get back. And I said, I understand. Like,
I'm not asking that. Yeah.
I understand. But even if it didn't work out and I had to start back over in ABC, like at least I know where I stand now, right? Like at least I can just do what I did the first time.
Yeah.
And then climb my way back up if they see the value in that. And then now I have a career there again. But yeah, I mean, that was the worst case scenario and it sounded pretty solid to me. So just went for it.
Just went for it, man. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about, man, I appreciate that was a great backstory of like understanding really how you got to where you're at. And I think that being at ABC Supply and doing that, it really does give you an inside look on what the other side is.
100%.
You see how much material these guys are ordering. You see the trucks that they're pulling up to at ABC. You see all of it, right? And like, okay, there is such a massive opportunity in the insurance restoration business and the roofing side. So I love that you made the switch, man, and I'm glad you did because we've done quite a bit of business together. So tell us a little bit about some of the early struggles with starting your own company, right? I think everyone who either starts a business or whatever it may be, it's a little bit conflated on how glamorous it can be as a business owner, right? Oh, like people think they're going to start a business and all of a sudden they've bought back all their time and freedom. Now, that is a possibility if you do it right. But if you don't know how to grow, scale, delegate, you will be chained to the desk. You'll be chained to a job, even though it's your name, right? You're still chained to a job. You're still chained to that. So like, and I know that you've worked yourself into a spot where you've delegated quite a bit of stuff, and you're able to have a decent amount of freedom in your life. But that's because of growing, scaling, and delegating, right?
Right.
And so tell us about some of the early struggles with founders and then how you guys have grown to a national brand in less than 5 years?
Yeah, less than 5 years.
Less than 5 years.
And I don't want to put so much emphasis on the national thing, because when I think national, I think like we will be there, by hopefully God's gift. But I think of like national brands like an office in every state.
Right.
We've got one in Georgia, we've got one in Ohio, and we've got 4 or 5 in Texas. I mean, we're inching our way towards nationwide for sure.
Multi-state.
Multi-state, that's probably
maybe a little bit more of an accurate term. Yeah, sure. But even then, though, like Texas, Georgia, Ohio, 3 pretty different markets.
Yeah.
Right. And so tell us about some of the early struggles, man, of like how founders kind of got started and some of the early mistakes that you made early on that probably a lot of the people can relate with, and how to maybe mitigate those if you're getting into it.
I think a lot of my early struggles were, the time freedom, because now you go from going to a place every day and you have a set
schedule
routine.
Yeah.
And now it's like, man, I don't have to report to nobody. Well, that can either do really well for you or it can really hurt you. And I hit a time like probably like a year and a half in where it was really hurting me, because I got in, I was grinding it out heavy, hitting the doors constantly. I tell my team this, sun up to sundown. I mean, I could show you photos of being up on roofs early mornings and being up on roofs when, sun's down, and I'm taking a photo. I mean, I was such a noob to roof inspections when I first started. I have a photo. I chalked a plastic dryer vent.
Let's go, dude.
Chalked a plastic dryer vent. And I look back on that photo. I'm like, what was I? But it's just, you're taught to chalk everything, right?
Yeah.
Or you think.
You think so, yeah.
You see all these dudes chalking stuff, and I'm like, well, I guess I'll just chalk this. And I'm like, that was stupid, right?
It's just going to be broken if it's plastic.
Yeah, so it's like, well, what was I doing that for? But yeah, I mean, you live and you learn. And then I got to a point where I was like, I'm not chalking nothing. Like, I'm not carrying chalk. I'm not circling hail hits. Like, if the hail hits are there, they're obvious. Like, just take a point at them, take a photo of it, and show it, and the adjusters, they can show up and look at it, see it. I don't have to circle it for them. So we don't chalk any. Like, this is my thing. I tell everybody, don't chalk anything. You're not adjusters, man. You're up there just to look at the roof. Stop chalking. So
that's interesting. Okay.
Anyways, that's a whole nother rabbit hole I can go down. But I guess early struggles were, the time factor, and then you start selling and you start doing really well for yourself. And it's that time factor again. Your systems, like, you rise and fall to the level of your systems.
Yeah.
And so it's every day. I mean, even now, every day you're figuring out a kink in your system, right? Yep. And everything has to like work and breathe together. And so in the beginning, that was my biggest struggle. Probably is I would just go after it.
Just go,
and then not think about the system. And then I'm hindering myself in so many different ways because I didn't put something in place right.
Yeah, 1,000%. I think that's something that we are very heavy here on is our systems, our processes, and how well they're documented and how well they are trained to the people that need to understand.
Yep.
We live by the 80-20 rule. Basically, document 20% of what needs to of what's got to happen, and then let them fill in the other 80 with like their own little nuances in how they handle things, but like these are like the main like stages and things that need to be hit throughout this process. Because like not every single person, like for example, like our front desk Kara, she does things a lot differently than Nick does,
Yep.
as far as like the little nuances and how they notate things or whatever. But the main points are hit. Did we get the documentation? Did we get this? Did we get this? Okay, great. Now the football is handed off, and the person who is getting the football knows the play,
Yep.
right? And I think that's like where a lot of like when you're trying to implement systems and you're trying to implement processes, and it's got to be understood by all, or the whole thing falls apart,
100%.
right? And so, and then that's not like an easy thing to do. That takes time. It's
Yep.
not like you just, you don't get on ChatGPT and say, hey, what's a process for this? And maybe prompt it with a few things, and then all of a sudden it spits out something, and it's just going to be great.
Yeah, and it hits you with no fluff, no gimmicks.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to give you your 90-day whatever plan.
Yeah. So, I think that's a major point. So how much do you think that in the roofing business, managing your cash flow has to do with being able to have the ability to put systems, processes, and people in place?
Yeah, I mean, cash flow, I guess everybody says it, right? Like cash flow is king. You can't have a business without cash flow.
Right.
I mean, I guess you can have a business without cash flow, but it's
not a very good one.
It's a dying one, right?
Yeah.
You're always trying to dig yourself out of a hole. And don't get me wrong. I mean,
I've been there. We've been there.
Definitely all have been there. I think
Yeah.
if you're moving with so much intensity, you're going to wind up in a tight spot
At some point. Yeah.
We're not, if you what if everything to death, you're not going to do anything. So sometimes
if you have that analysis with like paralysis by analysis thing, like it's, just aim, then nothing's ever going
You're going to miss
anywhere.
the shot.
You're not taking any.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I keep interrupting you with the water there.
No, you're good.
But mouth is kind of dry. But so managing cash flow, it could be it could be difficult, especially with scale, especially because every business has like their, I don't want to say every business, but I know at least for my experience, you have certain people that will come in and they'll sell themselves at such a high level, and they always have their hand out, and so you're in this gamble of like, do I trust what they're telling me? Do I trust the receipts? Do I give them what they're asking me for, and hopefully in 90 days we see some results? And then it's like, okay, how much longer am I going to keep carrying on paying this person, right? Like, when do we cut them? If we cut them too early, like they could have flourished and now I've just wasted money there.
Yep.
Or if I let them ride too long, I've just continued to waste
money. Yeah.
So it's like, you're, damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of thing.
So I think that's a great, like, little just topic to kind of talk about is like human capital and how to maximize that, right? Mm-hmm. I think you guys have done a great job. We were just talking about JT before this, right? And like kind of how he's morphed into the position that he's in. Let's talk about hiring, right? I think that's a really important piece, especially in y'all's business and our business in general, where like time and efficiency is like of the utmost importance, right?
Yep.
And when you're in your interviewing process, is there anything that you guys would say that is like either unique or just consistent that you do to kind of mitigate that problem of, okay, are we giving someone too much lead time, or are we cutting someone's knees off? Like, are we cutting them at the knees before they had time to, get their bearings, right?
Yeah.
And I think that, I'd like to hear your opinion, and I'll share with you kind of like how our process works. And I wonder if they're any somewhat similar.
Yeah, they're probably pretty similar. I think hiring is continuous. Hiring and recruiting is just nonstop, especially when you're trying to maintain a certain size, and with that size comes certain revenue requirements. And it's cool to get to that size, but now you got to sustain it and grow past it.
Yep.
And you still have all the same kinks. So attrition is a real thing, obviously, in the roofing industry.
1,000%.
And so our goal is like, how do we hire someone? How do we retain them? How do we train them to a point where they can be independent, so we don't have to keep spending headspace training this person, so we could train 2-3 more.
Yeah.
And we can keep going that way. But like I guess our interview process for me, or I guess now more so for our managers, we always touch on like, if you can't just have like a good conversation with somebody and off the rip know that you can probably trust what they're telling you, then they're probably not going to be a good hire. I think everything is based on your gut. Because I've had so many hires where like I've took a gamble on somebody and I've told like Mario or something, I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this guy, but he's saying all the right things. He has a track record, like, yeah, let's give him a shot. And then sure enough, my gut was right.
Yeah.
I was like, well, Cool. Should have trusted it. And there's so many times like that where I'm just like, you know what? Let's change how we're doing this. Like, if you don't feel from the get go, because I think culture plays into that too, right? Because then you wind up having like a fake culture.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
you have this like fake corporate feel culture, something I never wanted to have. So it's all based on, I think, just the general conversation. So our interview process, like, we have questions, and more so it's just to see how qualified they are, or if we can even bring them on board, or if there's like major red flags, like are they going to fail a background check or something?
Right.
But yeah, no, it's based on like character, like core values, passion, grit, and integrity. Like if we
Is that
can't,
what y'all's are?
Mhm, passion,
Y'all have three?
three.
Passion, grit, integrity. I love that.
We kept it simple because so many organizations I feel have this whole laundry list of and I keep saying laundry list just because I'm not very smart, but it's like keeps popping in my brain when I think of that. Just like a whole list of words, man. That
They can't hold very much weight.
Yeah,
If there's so like we have four, right?
Yeah, easy to remember.
Easy to remember, and we have the definitions like laid up here. So like whenever there's ever any like actions or things that happen inside of the business, like we could just revert back. Did we hire, fire, train, reward all off of our mission?
That's how it should be.
Our mission statement and our core values. And like if you do something that's a violation of the core values, like it's a one strike situation. There's a second strike, you're fired. Right? Like we always try to give one, you know, because I think that is where like systematically you can say, okay, you know, maybe someone is in these doors that has never really been part of an organization that actually lives by their core values. They're just simply things that are thrown on a wall that don't have any weight.
Exactly.
And I think those kinds of people, you know, they don't really understand how serious it is until they get a strike that says, you know, written documents is your first and only warning on any, not on a particular core value, but any core value. So like if for whatever reason they, you know, to be a team player, if they violated that,
Yep,
that's a core value strike. I don't care if it's the same core value or a different one, you're gone.
Yep.
If you don't serve properly, if you don't move with character, integrity, or whatever it may be.
Yep.
And I think those situations are where like how you can figure out pretty quickly when someone does get like an official written core value strike, how they respond to that. There's going to be a pretty good indicator on whether or not they're wanting to grow, learn, and develop, or they're going to shrink in the face of adversity. And that's kind of what we've implemented is like we have core value strikes. We've got and we've got like work like related strikes. Like, you know, let's just say for example on the like, you know, production on y'all's end, if JT screws up and a material order doesn't get there, right? He's not fired because that happens.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Either there was a process issue or there was just a simple like human error issue.
Yep.
We get to the root of the problem. Then if the thing continues over time, then we start having like, okay, in this person that we have selected for this role, is there an understanding issue? Is there a want issue? They really want to be here issue?
Yep.
Or is there like a capacity issue? Like, are they actually just not capable of doing the job in which we put them here for? Right.
At that point, you're doing them a disservice by keeping them.
By keeping them, or just, you know, keeping them in the organization as a whole, or finding a different spot inside the organization where they can be more successful.
Exactly.
Right. And so I think that's how we mitigate. And we like go through this like in our interview process, like explaining to them like, hey, we're going to talk about core values. We're going to talk about what we're about here.
Yep.
We have a pretty specific line of questioning on the core values, and and then obviously like your GWC portion of the interview, like your get it, want it capacity to do it is a lot more geared towards the role, and then you're comparing that to the resume. Right. Like that's what you're comparing to the resume. You're not comparing, and nothing on the resume is going to tell you how they're going to answer core value questions of like, of course. What is it? Passion, grit, and integrity. Right. Yeah. You can't, how experienced they were knocking doors on different organizations, not going to tell you if they have passion, grit, or integrity.
Exactly.
Right. You have to ask those like hard core value questions. And we realize that like, you just simply can't run the interview. You run the interview, but you let them run the interview. You ask them very little questions and you just be quiet.
Yep, let them talk.
Let them talk as much as you possibly can. Then using your gut and your intuition based off of what our core values are, that's where the decisions are made.
Yeah.
So I think they're pretty much in line
100%.
from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, because where we used to screw this up is we're like overselling the position sometimes.
Like begging people to be here. Yeah, it's like, no.
We're done begging you to be on the organization.
1,000%.
You can either believe in it and see what we're doing here and be a part of it. Awesome, would love to have you, but I'm not going to sit here and beg you, you know? So, yeah, passion. Like, we'll ask them, like, you know, simple question, like, what do you do outside of work?
Yeah.
Get them to talk about that.
Yeah, 100%.
Then you figure out, like, man, they're talking about their kids a lot. Like, you know, they're a family man. They love hanging out with their family. Or or if they start like bad mouthing a company that they worked for previously, that's obviously not a good thing.
Nope.
You know, unless they have reasons to. But then again, like keep it professional. It's the first time you're meeting me and you're airing
dirty laundry. Yeah.
airing
Don't
all
wanna
that
do
out.
it. Yeah.
So that's a character thing.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, if something doesn't go right for them here, they're so nitpicky here. What are they going to do to our reputation?
Yeah.
You know, they're going to step out of here and go try to stain at some other company. So now this other company has this mixed opinion about us, and they've never dealt with us. They've met this guy.
Yeah.
You know?
They met Joe.
Yeah, Joe Schmo. So
Joe Schmo.
we just have conversations, and we have questions. But man, everybody's going to tell you what you want to hear because
1000%.
they're trying to get a job.
Anyone can like write up a badass resume on ChatGPT and make it look amazing. Anyone can do that, you know, and that's what I do. I'll tell you about them too. We're consulting with a company called Culture Index. Basically, shout out Zachary. Basically what they do is it's like, have you ever heard of the DOTS test before? You ever heard of that? Okay, so basically,
is that the personality test?
Yeah, so it's a personality test, and they gauge it based on, they ask you like, you know, they just basically put a bunch of words onto a page, and the premise of the first portion of the survey is your like how you are in the world, and then the second part is how you are or how you think you should be in the workplace, and it just has all these, like, I mean, we're talking like hundreds of words, and you just associate different words as you go through the survey and submit it. I submitted it, and I was the only one of all my partners were like, dude, I don't know. Like, you know, everyone, when you start to become successful as a business, everyone tries to market to you. Everyone's like wants a little bit of piece of that pie or whatever it may be. And so I, you know, and this guy, Zach, I network with him every week. Like we're part of a networking group. And long story short, his supervisor read my dots. It was 5 dots on the top with my actual personality, and then 5 dots on the bottom of like what I believed how I should act in the workplace. And this guy's never met me, and he told me exactly who I was off these 5 little dots. Wow. And like how I operated, how I responded, how I was like in relationships, with friendships, how I was like, dude, he just read me like a book. And he was like, yeah, you are in your business. And I told him what I did like in the company, basically like brand champion, culture champion, like networking, getting our name out there. I'm responsible for all the high level relationships in our business, all that good stuff. And he's like, yeah, that's just exactly what you should be doing. Like, don't get involved in the operation.
Exactly.
At all. Like, don't even fool with that.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're excited to do. Like, I just had our whole entire team, I think we got like 15 people that have filled out the survey. And so not only is it like it helps you like place the right people, because you know, once you get a really good candidate and they did a good interview or whatever, like, okay, have them, we're going to start having them like take these personality tests and be like, okay, not only are we trying to place you, but then there's all kinds of tools inside of this platform with Culture Index that shows you the best way to manage people with that particular type of personality, what management styles need to be implemented and stuff like that, to where it's like, you're not only helping place people, but you're also leading, managing, and holding them accountable more effectively geared towards their personality. Because if you're ever at a management level, you are not going to be able to manage. If you've got 15 people on your team that you're managing, you can't manage one person the same as everybody else.
Exactly.
And
you got to be a dynamic leader.
You've got to be a dynamic leader. And so we're using that tool, and I'd be happy to make an introduction if you want to. But that's a whole nother conversation. But if we talk about hiring, I think people really, and that's one of the things that they were telling us, like they really neglect personality. They just look at interview questions and resume, and that's really, and then a gut feeling, right? And that's how they're placing. And there's just a whole nother side and science to it, like where you can really utilize someone's personality to place them properly, stuff like that. So I'm super excited about that, bringing that into our organization, because I think that like we're trying to scale at the level we're trying to scale. We cannot afford like multiple people problems as we're trying to go from like a 20-person organization to a 70-person organization in 3 years. Scaling at that rate doesn't happen. It can't happen if you have a human like capital issue and the wrong people are on the wrong seats, and you're not placing them properly and whatever. So tell me about how, we got started in Founders. You're building the business, you're knocking doors like crazy. You're going 100 miles an hour. Where did kind of like that switch like flip for you that says, okay, to get to where I want to go, I got to start doing things I've never done, and I got to start doing things a little bit differently. And then how did we take it from a one location in Dallas Fort Worth to what is that? 6 locations nationwide,
Yep.
multi-state, one
Yep.
in Georgia, one in
One in Ohio. Yep.
and then 4 here.
Four or five.
Is
Yeah.
it 4 or 5?
Four. No, let's call it four.
4.
Because I'm counting Corpus Christi as number 5, but we're moving some things around with that.
Okay,
Like
so we got 4.
we still have it, but
Right.
it's not moving how I want it to move. So I'm just gonna call it 4.
4. So we got 4 locations here in Texas. We've got location in Georgia, location in Ohio.
Yep.
Where did that switch flip for you, and how did you decide that you wanted to go to multi-state? Because like if you're dominating, you're doing well in DFW. What's the reason to go to multi-state?
I mean, I wouldn't even say I was dominating in DFW. I think it takes a ton to dominate here, and I think there was. I mean, we all know DFW is the most competitive market in the nation, right?
100%.
And I think every market has its cap, and as limited as that sound, I mean, there were some big dogs when I got started. Some big dogs, and a couple of them are really good buddies of mine, and I have a ton of respect for what they've built. And they built it like pre-COVID, COVID era,
Yeah.
and man, like I don't know, they blew up. So I saw what they were doing, and they were killing it here, and I was doing my own thing, trying to figure it out for a while, and then there was an instant. Well, I'll tell you what, I have 2 instances. Because basically, where I was going with that is, I don't think I'm crushing the market by any means.
Well, you've got systems and processes. You've got sales running. Maybe dominating the DFW market wasn't the right choice of words, but you had things rolling here, right?
Yeah, we're still rolling.
You're still rolling here
at a
as
healthy
well.
level.
So, what's the reason to hey, we've got some systems and processes and things that are working here in Dallas Fort Worth. What was the strategy behind saying, okay, hey, let's go explore some different markets outside of the state of Texas?
Yep.
What kind of inspired that? And, why was that kind of a decision that you made?
Great question. So, two little backstories that kind of got me to that point.
Sure.
One time I was living in a pretty decent sized house. It was like 4,000 square feet. I was making great money doing it. At this point, we were like a 3 man show, and was making great money, and I had all the time in the world, and I felt like I was winning, and I was like, man, like this is awesome. I don't even want to say what I was making, but it was pretty healthy.
Yeah.
And it was to the point where like my wife was buying groceries, and then I would get home so late because I'm out knocking doors. We wouldn't cook the groceries, so then groceries are going to waste. So then we're going out to eat, and we're eating like saltgrass or something. So now I'm like buying groceries and going out to eat, like double dipping. So I'm like, how can I buy some of that time back, put my family in a routine where it allows me to go close more deals? So I hired a chef to cook for us. He was cooking for us 5 days a week, every single evening. I paid him for holidays and everything. But doing that was actually more affordable, surprisingly, than buying groceries and then going out to eat because I'm wasting groceries. So I basically cut that bill in half and had a chef that was cooking us like fresh 5-course meals.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, so I was out closing deals in the evening, coming home, and my family was able to sit down and have like good meals. Or I'd be in my home office, and I'd be making phone calls, or I'd wrapping up some production stuff, and the chef would just knock on the office door when he's putting everything down. And I'm like, cool, time to eat. So I knew it was time for me to stop working, and I'd go eat, and we had like a good routine. But then I got really comfortable with that. And I remember I used to leave my blinds open in my room, and I'd watch the pool light like shimmering off the ceiling. And there was a time I'd get up in the morning, go to the gym, come home. I read all the time. So I'm like reading. I'd be reading for like an hour and a half in the morning because I knew I'm not going to go sell till the evening. I'm waking up a little later than I wanted to and looking up at these pool lights shimmering. And I remember I had this thought one time. I rolled over, checked my bank account, and I'm like, dang, I don't got to do anything. And I just said this in my head. I was like, I don't got to do anything today if I don't feel like doing it. And then like I got in this weird mentality of like getting comfortable. And I felt myself getting comfortable. And I was like, man, something's got to change here. Like now I'm stuck in this weird loop of like, I want more, but now I'm like stuck.
So comfortable. You're making all the money you need to make.
I felt fine. Like at this point I was doing well, didn't have like any personal debts. I mean, I was, paying everything as it came to me just to get it off my plate, and everything was going good. And then just got comfortable. And then one time one of the roofs I sold, I was on the way to an anniversary dinner. I was in a dress shirt, and a client called me and asked me, hey, can you come look at this? I put bullet boots on there, and they had like an 812 section that went up to like a 12. And so on the 812, I put a bullet boot, and they said it's kind of leaned a little weird. And I was like, well, let me go over there and climb up real quick and check it. There's a 2-story portion above a pool, pool concrete deck there. And so pull up on my way to, we were going to like the melting pot or something. Pulled up, hopped out of my truck, slung the ladder up, climbed up, scaled this where it was 8-12, tied into like a 12. So I had my hands on the 12, but I was walking the 8. And I'm checking the pipe boot. Everything seems fine, and taking photos, and it started sprinkling on me. And I'm like, man, I better get off this roof. And I'm in a dress shirt.
Yeah.
And it started sprinkling to the point where like then the rain was getting slightly harder. And so I went to step over. I got like stuck. And so I'm sitting there. I got my hands on the 12 and my feet are at the eve of the 8. And I'm looking down this pool deck and I'm like psyching myself out now. And I'm like, I don't want to stand up because I don't want my foot to slip and, you know. And I think I was in like Hey Dudes or something because I was like, oh, it's an 8. I walk 8 all the time. So I'm in Hey Dudes.
Yeah.
So
Actually got good grip.
A real good grip.
Yeah.
And so I was in Hey Dudes. I wasn't even in the Cougar Paws, So that was freaking me out too. And I was like 8 foot from a valley. So I didn't want to stand. I was like frozen. And it was funny. I went to call one of my buddies, Kyle, to like come get me off this roof. It turns out Kyle was stuck on a roof the same time I was stuck on a roof.
Oh my God.
And he was like
That's
2 neighborhoods
insane.
over, I was like, this is wild, dude. So long story short, I learned my lesson, finally got off this roof after like 20, 30 minutes, went to dinner, and I had a thought. I was like, man, I got to figure out a way to build this company that doesn't require me to step on every roof I sell, because, I have 2 kids, I like to value my life too, so
Yeah.
I got in this concept of like, I bet roofs can be sold without me having to scale them every time.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I need to build a team.
That was kind of like a realization. You're like, ooh,
big time.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, because like it's awesome. Making money is cool and everything, but then like, guess what? I fall off. I'm
what
toast.
happens? Yeah.
There goes my income, and what's my family gonna do? So that kind of hit me. I was like, this is why I need to build a team, and then I need to train that team not to have to walk every roof they sell. So that was kind of it. That was a kind of catalyst. And then I have this analogy. I tell it to my team all the time, and because my wife was kind of giving me some pushback on opening multiple branches, because she was like, man, we just need to stick with the one we got and just build the one we got bigger and bigger. And I'm like, that's awesome. I agree with you. But look at it like you're on a John boat, right? And you just made all these awesome, you just bought all these awesome lures, and they're all sitting in the tackle box, and you're sitting there just slinging a rod off the back of this John boat, and you're just by yourself. You're only limited to the one pole. Like imagine we're in this John boat. Now you got 6 other dudes with you. How much more fish you catching?
Done.
So that was kind of the concept. Was like, yeah, I mean, I'd rather have a cast net going off the backside over here catching all these. 3 poles at the front, 2 over here.
Yep.
And so I was like, let's just open up all these branches, and what's the worst thing that's going to happen?
Shut them down. Yeah.
Shut them. They don't work, and you shut them down, and you
just keep going. What you got going over here?
Bingo. So
amazing. So how has the Georgia market and the Ohio market panned out for you guys? How is it going so far?
Those are some slower ones, I'll tell you that. And honestly, it's partly staffing and market, like staffing it to difficult. It's like you got to find someone you can trust, because those markets are far. I mean, we were just in Ohio. We just sent JT up to Ohio Monday. We just did a roof up there, and we have a team up there. But I mean, they're far. So you gotta. Everything you're training on is like you fly there, you train them in person for a week or 2, and then everything else is like virtual, and you're trying to like get them
moving. Yeah,
that's been difficult. And then learning the market overall. So Ohio is just like straight retail.
Yeah,
where we're at, there are insurance areas there for sure, but yeah, and same with Georgia. Georgia gets a lot of wind, but for us, it's been a lot of retail.
And then obviously you guys have moved to somewhat of like your whole business is mainly retail, correct?
Now we pitch everything just strictly retail, and so we obviously still get a ton of claims. Like that's just nature of the beast.
Yeah.
But we tackle everything from a retail perspective first, and if someone wants us to work through the claim, like it winds up being insurance.
Right, but it's even if it is a claim, y'all still frame it.
Yeah, we still frame it retail. And if it is, so every single client, we look at it like every client we have is going to get the same level of service. And here's how we explain that. If someone has a scope of work, let's say for 18 grand, right? And one of our roof packages, we have good, better, best. Well, if our good package falls at that $18,000 mark, they're in the good package. Now, if there's some missing line items there, if we can supplement, because it's common, and we can get them up to that 20,000, 21,000. Well, instead of putting them in that good package, now we're putting them in the better package.
Mm.
And so those insurance clients are getting the same level of service as someone paying cash out of pocket. Because what I saw, like a big pattern I saw last couple of years, I'd say in 2023, there was a big like class 3 push. Oh, class 3, free class 3 upgrade, class 3, class 3.
Yeah.
So everybody was just throwing class 3 out there like it was nothing. So homeowners got so used to hearing class 3. Then the game turned into, let's give class 3 and high profile hip and ridge. So now everybody's, instead of upselling, everybody's just giving class 3 and high profile, class 3 high profile. Now all the everybody's doing that. So then it turned into like Salina turned into like a big, well, all these other guys are giving them like free class 4. Maybe we should do it too. I'm like, dude, why? why are we, why are we giving it away? So yeah, it wound up like everybody just started. I feel like there was a weird like transition in the last couple of years where, sales reps, whether it be my company, other companies, were just getting desperate for sales, desperate to fill the pipeline. So it was like free this, free that, free this, free that. And I got so tired of playing because it's not fair to the homeowner that's got a 22-year-old roof that's got a ton of granule loss and wear and tear, and they're stroking us a check for 22 grand, and we're giving them what's healthy for our margin.
Right.
But then because we have a scope of work sitting here and they have an $8,000 deductible, and we're trying to convince them to give that deductible to us instead of our competitor, now we're throwing them every upgrade under the sun. Why is that fair to this client that just stroked a $22,000 check out of pocket?
Yeah.
So I was like, how do we?
Interesting way to look at it. Yeah.
I was like, so how do we solve that problem, and how do we play at a higher level? So, yeah, I don't know how else to say that other than
that's great.
good, better, best package. Every client gets taken care of the same way, and we pitch it straight. Hey, are you paying out of pocket? Are you wanting to finance this, or you want to move?
What do you want to do? Yeah. That's and that's got to be, and we, hell, we talk about cash flow. That's got to be a way better way to manage your cash flow from a retail perspective.
Exactly.
Especially if they're, you have good financing partners, right? Those deals are funded like that, right? Within 24 hours, typically 24, 48 hours, your funding amount is in your bank account.
Well, we have multiple finance partners, but a lot of the times, like we let the homeowners pay us, like money gets sent to them, they pay us.
You're kidding.
Yeah. So
that's a lot of trust.
But I mean, I don't know. I think we win a lot too by being like that low pressure approach.
That makes sense, dude. I mean, and for your sales guys too, because when it comes to like insurance scopes and looking at all that stuff, it can be there can be there's a ton of nuance that goes on. Versus like retail, it's like just straight. And probably a little bit easier to train on a retail model than an insurance model, where a lot of times roofing sales contractors, they're cradle to grave. And I know you guys don't operate that way, right? It gets from sales to production to closeout. There's teams in place for each kind of like section of the business, right?
For us, yeah.
For you guys. And so from a sales perspective, that's got to be probably a little bit easier way to get in the business that way.
It's a lot easier. And plus what we do a lot different is our pay scale. We don't pay on profits. We pay on the gross.
Total contract size.
Total contract amount, pay on the gross amount. And, we have some experienced guys that come in, and I've ran the numbers with them multiple times, like our pay scale and compared to like a profits model.
Yeah. And
I'm like, sure, dude, like I'll give you that. Like I'll print out jobs. Like, hey, JT, find me my most like recent 6 projects. Let's look at it from if you would have got paid on profits on these jobs versus getting paid on gross, how does that shake out? Well, awesome. First off, these are retail deals, right? They got closed out quicker. You didn't have to deal with any of the extra minutia.
Yep.
And the way we pay anyways is we're not making you go out there and sell and stack all these clients up. And I know in these profits models, and I can't speak for everybody, most of them are paid either draws based on when checks are collected, or they're paid out when depreciation is collected, like at the end of everything.
Oh, yeah.
Assuming the client pays on
That's
time.
typically how it goes, is where it's once full RCV and recoverables have been paid and and all invoices paid, then commission sheets get issued.
Yep.
And then you get paid, which, I mean, it could be a 60 to 120 day process.
Yeah, not for us. So the way we pay based on the contracted amount, we tell them like, hey, guess what? You get a contract signed and a deposit collected. you're going to get a commission advance. So they'll get a portion of that as an advance, like the day they sign the contract, or
The
whenever
day that like a deposit or something
whenever the
like that.
deposit
Yeah.
hits,
Yeah.
you get the commission advance. Then the day of the install, you get all your commission, the remaining commission, and then you get a portion of the supplements if there's any on insurance deals. And
Interesting.
they're not having to handle any of the supplements. Like
Right. They're not handling supplements. They're not handling build days. They're not handling. Are
not
they
handling
handling build days?
nothing.
So they
don't.
sell the contract and it
That's
gets
it.
pushed off. Yeah.
They pitch it the way we pitch it. They put it in our system. They get the contract signed. Once that it's passed on to production, it flows through our board. It's like once it hits signed contract on the sales board, it disappears off the sales board. Now it's in production hands, and they start moving. They start pulling permits and
So
invoices.
was that transition? Because I'm guessing you started off 1099 cradle to grave, your sales guys, or did you start off this way?
I started off this way. Actually, I heard this model from Monarch Roofing was huge when I got started, and he seemed pretty dialed in on his systems, and I'm pretty sure it was him that said he paid his guys this way. Now
Yeah.
he didn't pay. I don't think he paid them day of install like we do, but I know he paid them just off
Off
contract.
total
amount.
contract size. Yeah.
So I always kept that kind of, and I've ran like that since I got started. Well, then I got some pushback. I remember one time from a rep who's like, well, if like a new rep that comes in doesn't know anything and we tell them we're paying them 10% on contract. Well, like, okay, on profits, like I'm going to make more money on profits as like inflation and whatever. And I'm like, the math shakes out the same way.
Same way, it doesn't matter.
Inflation, your contract's going to be higher.
Yeah.
It's you're making up for it, right? But I mean, don't get me wrong. There are times where like prime example, we lay 6 projects out. Cool, man. You would have won, you'd have made $300 extra on this one. You'd have made $489 extra on this one. Guess what? On this one, you would have lost. It's like I can show you the math, man. Like all day, this is a way cleaner model for you as a rep.
Yeah.
And you're getting an advance and paid on day of install.
My question on that model for you guys is like, okay, we know earlier when I was like, hey, when the football gets passed off to whoever the football's getting handed to, they got to know the play, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Has that had to be difficult, a little bit difficult at scale to a certain degree, because sales, and obviously it's probably, it probably layers down to how you guys are communicating this at the kitchen table when you're getting these contracts signed, of like explaining to them like, hey, I am not going to be your point of contact from here on out, right? What JT or Mario at the time or whatever, whoever's running production, that's where the POC runs through for the homeowner.
Yeah.
And
so right
your
when the
sales guys
contract-
are able to say that, because I feel like there had to be some sort of like, oh, well, I'm going to call my salesman if I'm looking to get an update. And then
There's still
salesman, I'm sure there's still that, but like, how do you guys mitigate that? And kind of tell me a little bit about your process from how does that football really get passed off, and what are the things that you do and teach your sales guys to make sure that it gets passed off correctly?
So the moment when the contract's signed and it gets handed to production, the sales rep creates a group chat. So all our system, we have automations in all of our systems. So once they get slid to sign contract, it's the rep. It's either the rep or the production manager. They get an automation that says create group chat with client. So they'll never forget to do that.
Yep.
So their phone pings, hey, create group chat with client. They will throw the production manager and themselves and the homeowner in a group chat. And it's like an introduction, like, hey, JT, for example. JT's going to be taking over your project moving forward. Any project updates he'll have, if you guys have any questions, still feel free to reach out to me. And all that does put them in a group chat is a homeowner can't call the sales rep and the sales rep feel blindsided. Like they're going to have updates.
Yeah. So those updates get thrown in the group chat?
Uh-huh. Every update's thrown in the group chat.
Got it. So the sales rep still gets to be aware of what's going on.
Exactly.
And so does the homeowner. But it's more just of like, for the sales rep, it's more of just making sure that the pulse is good and we're getting updates and stuff like that. And then, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good, because that would be like, on that model for most people probably listening, right? Because there's an argument to be made, right? Well, if there's one sales rep that's on a cradle to grave 10 50-50 profit split model, there's one POC that the homeowner has to run through, right? And there are some advantages to that, some disadvantages to that. That's great, because I think that model, in my opinion, is what, from a business perspective, everyone should be doing that.
Yeah.
Like I just have never really fully understood, like, these big companies that they just have so little control over the product, right?
100%.
And at the end of the day too, it's like, from like, let's just talk realities. Like if a sales rep doesn't have access to your profits, they don't get access to your books. They don't get to see
No.
who's charging what, why they're charging what. Then that is how you quite literally just start training your competition. That is what I've
Yep.
seen over and over and over and over and over again. These big companies who do 1099, or they're contracted their salesmen out at a 10-50-50 profit split model.
Mhm.
They build, lead, grow, develop, all that good stuff. And then 3 years later, they're starting their own company, copy, paste, print
Mhm.
into a different LLC, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And so as a business owner from a roofing perspective, like I've always thought that, like, why are you showing your numbers
You're
to your
showing your
sales
cards,
rep?
man.
You're showing your cards.
They haven't built what you've built. They haven't taken the
100%.
risk that you have.
Yep.
They don't have the payroll burden every 2 weeks and the overhead. Like,
Yep.
look, that rep's going to come into your organization and they could be a 7-figure sales rep. Awesome. If they want, and I told reps too, like, look, if you guys think you can do it better than me, go for it. Leave here, start your own thing. I'll even tell you all the mistakes I made. But good luck, dude, because it ain't easy. I thought it was easy too. It's not.
Yeah.
But no, like a rep is there to take care of the client and sell and get contracts signed. Why do I got? Because look, if you start seeing margins on things, you're gonna see a job and go, oh man, I could
should
have.
have made more. Yeah.
Oh, well, guess what? You didn't see. Like, you also didn't see that one you sold out in West Texas where you didn't account for 2 layers of shingles. And that homeowner had to get approved for financing because they're just barely scraping by, and they financed the max that they could. And what am I supposed to do now? Change order that client for tearing off 2 layers of shingles, and they couldn't afford it anyways.
Mhm.
Are you gonna eat that, or are you happy that you're paid on gross and we're eating that? So that's the battle we take sometimes. Or hey, uh, we had a roof in Salina where the intake, it was intake vents on the roof, and they weren't shingled over properly.
I
Heavy
know.
rain
You're
came
talking
through.
about those little. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
rain came through, whole left side of the house. Water damage on the left side of the house and destroyed the cabinets. And we don't just send a crew guy in there and say, "Hey, fix the drywall." I'm not dealing with that. I'm sending a mold remediation company in there. And
License mold. Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
they're checking dryness levels, and they're doing it the right way. They're tearing it out, replacing cabinets. That I didn't put that on my insurance. That job, profits on that job were like next to nothing as it was. I'm not even going to say what they were, but yeah, I mean, so you got that factor, and then I'm the one that shelled out the 17 grand to fix his kitchen and everything.
Yeah.
So as a rep, you're going to be crying if you're paid on profits. And I told you, hey, guess what? The 6 jobs you got in the pipeline? Well, that one you just sold on profits model, like, kiss those 6 commissions goodbye, dude, because we just had to shell out 17 G's, on this mistake here. So we carry all that risk.
Yeah. It's a
They
great
can
way
leave
to
our
put it.
organization tomorrow, go start selling for somebody else. We're getting a different industry. At the end of the day, I'm going to be the one that's taking all the responsibility for this thing, whether it sinks or swims.
Yeah, that's like the whole thing, right? And like, I love that because I think that gives reps a way more like myopic
Mhm.
focus on what their tasks and what their responsibilities are. And like, I promise you, from my perspective, like, the guys who are able to go cradle to grave and
Mhm.
sell $1.52 million on a 10-50-50, you could sell double that on
100%.
a gross model.
That's what I
Easy.
tell everybody.
Yeah.
We have a level 3 Xactimate certified supplement team. So if it's an insurance deal, we're doing all that for you. Production's handling all that for you. Your projects are PM'd for you. And during the project, your homeowner's getting a company cam report during every stage of the process. Like, after, let's say it's a 3-day project, we're doing a metal roof. Hey, this is the end of the day update. Here's the photos throughout your project. So you never have to worry. Like, a homeowner can't ever come back and say, like, you guys didn't do this, this, and this in my contract. Our reporting system is designed based on the scope of work. And so all those photos have to be accounted for, So, like,
Yeah.
we're managing all that for the rep. Now, if you're out trying to sell 3 jobs and you're that cradle to grave guy and you're pushing material orders and
The whole thing.
you're doing all that, like, you're going to have a hard time maintaining, client happiness, which
Yeah.
then is referrals
And
for
it's
you.
it's a never ending, 24/7 game.
Constant.
If you're a high producer, cradle to grave, profit split model, you are absolutely working your tail off.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not easy to do. And you're really truly running your own business within a business. And from a business owner perspective, I've never understood why that was the go-to model,
Yeah,
especially here in Texas. It's like, because you can get a lot more out of, because one person doing production, paying them, let's just say $125,000 a year, you're going to get way more out of them than you were to pay on a profit split for somebody that can handle 15, 20 sales reps production if that's all that they're doing, right?
Yeah.
Problem is that, when you get into the cradle to grave, there is so much time, energy, and effort wasted on material orders, going to job sites, dealing with supplements. I mean, the whole ball of wax. And a lot of these bigger, sophisticated organizations, like, they have supplement teams, but they don't. I hear so many times, I hear complaints, man, the supplement, they're not getting back to me. They're not communicating. Like, and then homeowner doesn't know what's going on or whatever. And, I just think in this business, in the storm restoration business, the more you can controlling the controllables as an owner,
I say that all the time.
yeah, the better. Like, we got to be able to control the controllables as from an ownership perspective. And then essentially it opens up, better opportunities for people down the road. Cause I really do think that, like, the guy selling 1.5 could sell 3 million in a growth model if all they are doing is getting it to contract signing.
Exactly. Yeah. And reputation's everything. So imagine you as that one guy, you're getting so sucked into taking care of 3 clients. What if you could take care of 7 or 8? Because we have your back over here. Because we're not going to do anything to tarnish our 5-star reputation.
Yep.
Because that hurts scale. So
100%, man. I love that, dude.
Yeah.
Those are some golden nuggets right there, dude.
And I always
hope
say
someone's listening.
Simple scales, complex fails. We have, especially as business owners, we want everything to be fancified, right? Like, we want all the fanciest, shiniest, newest things and whatever. You need to and I do this every week, look at all the systems you currently have. And dude, there's still probably a ton that I lack. Like, I'm not sitting here saying I know everything. I appreciate you for having me on because you think I know something or whatever.
Well, you definitely do. Yeah. You guys, because I've worked with the organization. Like, I've worked through Mario, I've worked through JT. Like, I know your team, and I know what it takes to put people in place to effectively handle things without the owner having to have their hand in everything.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of times you'll call me and I'm like, dude,
no idea.
Call so-and-so.
Yeah.
Let them do their thing. That's what we have, multiple people on 6-figure bases.
Yeah.
Plus they have other incentives. And I mean, our whole model now is W-2. So, it's a lot to manage. All of our people have 401ks, health, dental, vision, the whole 9 yards. We have an actual HR company. We don't put somebody on like a Gusto payroll and pay them biweekly and call it W-2. Like, it's a legit W-2 plan.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. And I think that other business owners and other roofing companies, because we are the same way, just different, right? Like, everyone in our organization is a W-2 employee.
Yep. And
managing that is, I think, a little bit different, because 1099, you can be flippant. Like, you can be really flippant with how you're managing and running things. And a W-2 model, you don't really have that option really to be flippant about things. Well, you do, just gonna, once again, not be very successful.
Well, you can hold standards better too.
Yeah, hold standards better. The whole ball of wax. And I feel like that's how you, your turnover rate is less.
Yep.
Your culture can get stronger and your standards can consistently be raised. And whoever's a fit is a fit, and who's not is not.
Exactly.
And it's much easier, in my opinion, to manage. It's much easier to manage that, and it creates a lot better buy-in.
Yep.
The whole thing. And I'm not saying that some companies, they do the 10-50-50 model and they run great businesses, and there's
do your thing.
Do your thing.
Yeah.
It's
just not my thing.
Yeah. I think that's, because most of the people that we work with, obviously, in this market don't run the way that you do, right? So that's why I thought it was really important for you to come on to tell, just to express, and hopefully if you guys are listening, that there are other ways to run this. The only other guy that does it like you do is a guy named Matt Timcho, and he runs a company called TC Roofing and Restorations, and we're partnered with them up too, and I've had him on the podcast, and they run a W-2 model, and they're transferring and everything like that. Awesome. But his partner was from Georgia. Georgia company bought him out, and now they're implementing the systems and retail model that they have, and the retail / insurance model that they have in Georgia, bringing it to here. So all their guys are in company trucks, all their guys have health, all that stuff.
Yep.
And our team, we deal with Chris over there in Georgia who runs all their production. Like, so it's similar to how you guys have done it, but
Yeah.
we partner with almost 50 companies in the state of Texas, and y'all the only two. So we're talking about what is that, 8% maybe in the Dallas Fort Worth area that operate the, if that, probably not even that. 8% of our clients do, but that's a little bit skewed, right?
Yeah.
But no, man. I just appreciate you coming on. I know we've been doing business for a couple years now, and to see y'all, we've kind of been growing at the same time,
100%.
right? Like, we've grown, you guys have grown, and it's been fun to do together. And I appreciate you coming on, man. And I think that was a great conversation. I think a lot of these people that are listening, if you want to get some golden nuggets, you can certainly get some from that conversation, 1,000%. If you guys don't know who Founders Roofing is, go look them up. They've got social media, all that good stuff. I'll link your descriptions and everything in the YouTube caption and all that. But that'll be it, dude. That wraps up episode 6 of the PV National Podcast. We'll see you guys next time.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, man.